You know, Vancouver has a ton of work to do this offseason if they do want to get back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I do think that this is a franchise that obviously wants to get back there for sure. I think that they should want to. I think that their fans deserve it. I was kind of on the fence. I still do think it's possible that Quinn Hughes may force their hand, and that it might be smarter to actually institute some kind of, retool or rebuild. But ultimately, I do think that they are in a pretty good position. I was looking at their draft picks earlier, and they do actually have all 7 draft picks this year, and they have 5 out of 7 next year. So they do have draft capital, and they could use that in a bunch of different ways. They could use it to institute a trade. I wouldn't mind that. I think that they might want to, because it kind of makes sense if you don't have the best draft year, if you understand what I mean. And I'm going to be really interested to see exactly what this team does on the trade front. Which way do they go? Do they start adding to their team, and what positions do they improve? Obviously, they are going to be looking for a centerman, as every NHL team is going to be looking for a centerman. I think that they're going to need to be a little bit flexible there. But we are receiving now more trade rumors about Thatcher Demko, which I'm not sure if I really expected them to possibly be interested in moving him, although it might not necessarily be a bad idea. Now, interestingly enough, there is a rumor that he, quote, might be interested in going to Philadelphia, which is interesting. I don't know why no offense to the Philadelphia Flyers, I don't know why any team or any player would want to go to that team, seeing as it's literally nicknamed the goalie graveyard, and goalies tend to struggle there quite a bit. Maybe it's just a curse or something. I have no idea. But apparently Thatcher Demko is, and always was, just a big fan of Rick Tocchet in general. It does actually seem like a lot of guys in Vancouver actually really, really respected and really, really liked Rick Tocchet. And this new rumor is coming from Cervelli, essentially just saying that it's certainly possible that he could follow him out there. It might not actually be the worst move for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, me personally, I don't actually believe this, simply because I don't understand why he would want to go to Philadelphia. Maybe he has his own reasons, but it's just kind of hard for me to believe personally. According to Daily Faceoff, he is ranked number 18th on their trade bait list. So he's certainly a player that he's going to have some probably interest in him. He does actually kind of have some injury concerns, like long-term kind of injury issues that seem to pop up every now and then. He's a goaltender, and goaltenders in general do have a level of inconsistency. So that could obviously cause some issues as well. And also complicating this is the fact that the Vancouver Canucks did re-sign Kevin Lankinen to a relatively expensive contract. I was a little bit questionable about whether they should have signed that contract. I've never seen Lankinen be that impressive to me. But now they're paying 2 goalies a decent amount, and you might actually have to move on from Demko, but you need to also find a suitor. I'm wondering also what exactly they could even get for Demko. I really actually don't think it's probably going to be a lot, in my opinion, but I don't know. Drop it below. Do you think that they're going to be able to get a lot for Demko? And again, my philosophy is always the same with the Vancouver or any NHL team that you guys follow. I do think that if a player is going to leave, and I think that the sense around Thatcher Demko is just that he might actually be leaving the Vancouver Canucks anyway. Like, he's probably just going to move on anyway. So it is almost like, again, if you think that you can get something for a player, you might actually just want to move ahead and move on from him anyway, right? Like, it just makes more logical sense. Now, here's the thing. This is going to be, I think, a pivotal offseason for the Vancouver Canucks. They are in such a weird position. They have Elias Pettersson, who had a really, really, really bad season. Like, for his standards, he had just an objectively terrible season. He got paid massively. And they're in a big pickle with him, where if he doesn't start to produce, and he's getting paid that amount. Like, that's a real issue there. They have a potential of a superstar guy, defenseman that is possibly maybe on the verge of leaving if they can't do some pretty impossible stuff, which is like, whatever, bringing his brothers in there. If you believe that's going to happen, I think it's going to be pretty difficult. Although if it would happen, they bring all the Hughes brothers to Vancouver, they would be a wagon. Can you imagine that? But I mean, do you actually think that's going to happen? I'm not so sure about that. And then you have a situation where you have an older goalie, kind of older-ish, Thatcher Demko, who he's had his injuries, and you're thinking like, okay, what do they do there? It's, as I said before, again, they have their draft picks. That's really good, but I'm just really interested to see what they do. And one other position that I'm really interested to see what they do is their center position. Again, this is going to be an ongoing thing that I'm going to say a lot on this channel, is like, what are teams going to do about their center positions? Like, are they going to be able to just draft them? Like, honestly, this is where I'm leaning in this channel for my opinion. I'm starting to think that they're becoming so rare that you might actually just want to target centers in the draft and just start developing them in-house, because it's going to become so difficult. I was reading a Canucks Army article on Mason McTavish and that the Vancouver Canucks might want to actually target him, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, I like Mason McTavish quite a bit, but I was just thinking, like, boy, oh boy, are they really ever going to have to overpay for that player? Maybe you might want to actually do it, depending on if you could pry him out of Anaheim. It's going to be really difficult to pry him. So at this point, you might as well just start to, I was hoping that players would be, or teams would be more aggressive, but I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe they should keep their draft picks a little bit more and just start to develop centers in-house. It actually might make a lot of more logical sense, if you understand what I mean. But anyways, I just wanted to touch on the Thatcher Demko trade rumor and a couple of little other Vancouver Canucks tidbits. If you guys can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.